somewhat. All right. So for the first part, what was your main takeaway from the article? Yeah, man.
All right. Well, this was the third page, I think, about emphasizing challenge and not success. And I find this with my different level of classes, just that most students seem to think they're only doing things right if they get it right all the time without much effort. And that's not what you want to teach in goal setting. There needs to be a challenge there, and they're succeeding even if they're not just flying through everything. I think that's an important aspect of your teaching, is that you want to inspire them to be working hard and realize that it's going to take time, and you want to, there's going to be adversity in this learning process. It shouldn't be easy all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that.
I love that page as well about talking about that, emphasizing the challenge of it. And I'm looking at it from like a different perspective now that I'm a parent, and I think about my 3-year-old, and he is all about challenges. Like that is what makes him the most excited. And we recently there was a frog trapped in our window well, and he spent the whole day trying to come up with ways to get the frog out of the window well. And he was so excited, he kept calling it a challenge. This is a challenge, this is a challenge. He had the neighborhood kids helping. There was probably 20 different kids in our backyard trying out all these different strategies, and it entertained the kids in the whole neighborhood all day. And these are all kids that are not in school yet. These are 3, 4 and a half, 3 to 4 to 5-year-old kids. And there's something about hitting the school that I think changes kids' mindset to oh, there's a right answer and a wrong answer, and I want to get that right away. And that's just something that I've always really tried to promote, is how can we change what's happening in classrooms to get kids to see challenges as how they were before they were in school. Before they're in school, kids are creative, they don't mind taking risks, they love that. And what is it about the schooling system that in many ways changes kids' attitudes? So I almost like to think of that 3-year-old perspective, and I would use that. I taught middle school for 10 years, so I would use that same kind of perspective with my middle schoolers. And I love the line about a mystery. This is a mystery, and let's solve it. Even when you're teaching older kids, when you're using the marble jar, you maybe things elementary, they like that mystery and that challenge too. So I think almost trying to think of that childlike perspective is, even through seniors in high school, I think can be much more invigorating for a classroom purpose.
That was kind of one of the things that I thought about, was we're associating with grades, and I feel like when I was younger, we didn't have 24-hour access to our grades, so we weren't oh well, I failed that, so you didn't look at it like that. And so I'm wondering if having the access all the time to our grades is kind of hindering them.
How would you guys say specifically this article relates to goal setting? Yeah.
I think one quote that stuck out to me was that students with a fixed mindset do not like effort, so that relating it back to goals or to the frog, that students who don't like challenges, that they would just leave that frog in there in the well if it didn't work the first time. But I think identifying ways that you aren't proficient, or ways that you don't excel, can be some ways that you can kind of set those goals for you. So shifting and changing back to that childhood growth mindset that we all kind of had, and that sometimes the school system creates a fixed mindset in a sense.
I like how you mentioned the identifying factor, because I think so many times students don't really fully understand what it is their goals need to be, because they don't fully understand, where they're at on, a specific subject or something. So I like that. Anybody else?
I think that it's especially beneficial too to the students that are like the article says, or the title says, even geniuses work hard. I think that, at least from my own perspective, I've had difficulty with getting my higher level students that are in just the general education classroom, not AP, but the higher end of my class, to make goals that are more challenging, because I feel like they realize that they're getting an A, and it doesn't really intrigue them to set something more challenging for themselves, because they sort of are aware of how well they're doing. So I think that getting them into the growth mindset would be beneficial for those students too.
Absolutely. Any additional questions you have regarding this article?
I was curious about the homework. And they talked about homework. I'm just curious, like everyone here, like your philosophies on homework. I love the example they gave of what homework should be. Are you addressing this further in your? I don't want to.
Actually, no, I don't think we
Oh,
are.
okay.
So let's talk about it.
I'm just curious how everyone feels about homework. Like, do you assign homework every day? Do you believe in it every day? Do you think you give homework the way they describe it in here, like enhancing sense of learning with, you know, like they give the civilization example and the sonnet example? Do you feel like the homework you're required to give is more repetitive? I'm just curious. Homework is something I'm super interested in, like in researching. So I'm just curious what all of you kind of do homework-wise.
We've had a lot.
Yeah, we had like a whole like half class discussion about
Right.
it.
Working great.
No,
It's a hot topic for us.
Yeah.
All right, so give me the 1 minute or less version. What is the overall perspective? Do you feel pressure from your schools to give a certain amount of homework?
I think the thing that we were all kind of struggling with was like the grade aspect with it. Like, do you assign a grade? Do you grade it as a completion grade? Does it really affect their overall grade?
Yeah.
Should they even get a grade at all?
A big part of the homework too, I think that we discussed was that, you know, we aren't assigning a grade to, are they gonna do the homework? How are they gonna, you know, are we setting them up, for reality when they leave school if they just decide not to do something? Should there be a consequence for that, or should there be some sort of reward or something for if you do the homework?
In elementary right now, there's a lot like floating around online right now too about like should we be giving homework at all, and you know teachers sending home letters saying like you know there won't be any homework except to you know spend time with your family and to enjoy this and that, and so there's a lot of debate, and our principal's been like tweeting out a lot of these types of articles, and so although we're as of right now each grade level kind of has a general like if you're in first grade it's 10 minutes, second grade 20 minutes, and so on. There's not really a push from him to give homework, but there's also not completely a pull for him to have us take it away yet. But he keeps sending out these kind of like tweets, and so we're getting the impression like we're on that way. And so I know our third grade team this year is we're still going to stick to the 30 minutes. That would be third grade, but we're taking away. We're kind of piloting it ourselves and taking it upon ourselves at this point. But we're kind of piloting where we're not giving homework necessarily that was based on that like goal or objective that day. We're kind of focusing on two like main strands where we're making sure they read for 15 minutes a night, whether that's with a parent, audio book, on their own, something. And then the other one is 10 minutes of some sort of back fluency. So we figure like two kind of like building blocks of like our two kind of core subject areas. We're hoping like it's routine enough for parents, something that's not as stressful for parents and families. And we're hoping it'll just kind of support our classroom efforts and things that can be kind of enjoyable as well. So that's kind of what we're attempting to try this year. But yeah, we've had a lot of debate too, and no one really knows what to do with it. So
Yeah, no, I mean, I really agree with the article that it should be more of something that like challenges, and you know, you don't need to just do repetitive, like fill in the
Busy
blank
work.
worksheets, right? Busy work. So how to make it challenging, but then you're right. How do you hold them accountable? That's the whole other debate. Interesting. Just curious.
So moving forward, we decided to talk about SMART goals. Many of us use SMART goals either as ourselves, with our professional development, or within our classrooms. So to go over what a SMART goal is, the S stands for specific. So you want to be able to define the goal, ask yourself who is involved, what is to be accomplished, where will this goal take place, and ask yourself why are you doing this. The M is for measurable. So you want to be able to make sure that you can track progress and be able to measure any outcomes. Attainable. So you want to make sure that the goal isn't either too out of reach or that it's something that's too below the standard. And the R is for relevant. Again, you want to make sure that it's relevant to your topic, your grade level, your classroom, or if it's a professional goal, relevant to something that you'll be doing. You want to make sure it's worthwhile, and that it will meet your needs. And then the T is time-based, so you want to make sure that your objective will include a time limit. You don't want it to be too short, so that you can't collect enough data, or too long that you're collecting way too much data and you can't hone it in at the end.
So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to pass out a SMART goal template. And with this template, everything that we talked about is on that sheet. So in case for some reason you forget something, it should all be on that sheet on how to set a SMART goal. And what we want you to do is sort of put yourself in the shoes of one of your students and like write down an example of a SMART goal that